Yeah, Margot, the sheriff's office tells me that it should be done by this time tomorrow night, but to be honest, it could be much sooner than that. If you take a look here, this was all wreckage not 2 hours ago. They've been moving cars almost nonstop. A big first responder presence down the hill, police, Hemsey, fire trucks. Again, we don't know if anybody is hurt. We don't even know if anybody was in the building, but we're going to be working to get that information here in a bit. Apparently, the gas could be heard literally shooting out, so they came in, evacuated the homes. They now have monitors on each end of the street, so where we are right now and down to the end of the street right there, and right now they have hazmat crews going through each home, making sure that they're ready to go before anybody can go back in. And it just so happens, in an unrelated incident, there is also another gas leak right now at Hampton Cove that members of the Huntsville Fire and Rescue Team just left to go attend to. So again, that is unrelated, but certainly a number of gas leaks taking place here now. So to wrap up, 8 homes evacuated, 25 people, hazmat crews actively working through the scene right now to make sure that they're safe for everybody to go home and enjoy the rest of their night. Kim, they claim veterans are being neglected, fed the wrong diets, and bed bugs are being left untreated throughout the facility. Both employees left Tut Phan in the last 3 months, one saying she was fired and the other saying she left because the treatment of the veterans was unconscionable. They requested to remain anonymous over concerns of future employment. So with that in mind, I did some digging to see whether there was any validity to what they were claiming. State and federal inspections paint a very mixed picture about the level of care veterans are receiving at this home. The Floyd E. Tut Phan Veterans Home helps some of America's best as their health declines. Those veterans, some who are unable to speak for themselves, are reliant on Tut Phan's caregivers for comfort and safety. 2 former workers reached out to WAFF, claiming the home is falling short. The first, a former housekeeper, alleges the following: bed bugs in multiple wings, infecting one of her coworkers. She also claims a patient with skin mites was not receiving any treatment. The former employee says she reported both to the administration, but no action was taken. She also says she saw a patient develop bed sores because of staff negligence. The second, a former dietary cook, also brought up the skin mites patient without being asked. She says the patient roams the home unrestricted. The former cook also alleges veterans are being fed diets that are against doctors' orders. When she brought up those concerns with a manager, the former cook says she was told, "I don't care." I reached out to HMR Veterans Services, who is contracted by the VA and oversees the day-to-day operations of the facility. HMR's Vice President Scott Hurst declined our repeated requests for an interview, but just today he sent WAFF this statement, which reads in part, "Nothing is more important to us than providing the highest quality of care possible to our veterans. We work closely with state and federal agencies and follow important guidelines and procedures in providing care. For example, a recent independent survey named Tut Phan in the top 15% in the country, which included nursing service, dining service, food quality, communication, cleanliness, activities, and dignity and respect for veterans. The most recent federal compliance survey from the Veterans Administration found the facility to be in compliance with all requirements. Saying he was barred by state and federal law from discussing any individual patient's care, Hurst would neither confirm nor deny any claims made by the former employees. So I did some digging. The Alabama Department of Public Health publishes these surveys about nursing homes roughly once a year, and upon getting a complaint, the findings were mixed and troubling. The Alabama Department of Public Health's most recent survey in January only found Tut Phan in violation of some sprinkler procedures and disorganized kitchen appliances. A July 2018 federal VA inspection also came back spotless, and in 2016, Tut Phan won an award for its care plan. But state surveys from the prior 6 years paint a much different picture. They cite nurses failing to give a veteran a doctor-mandated diet, a veteran receiving undocumented and unregulated tube feeding, a veteran not receiving incontinence care in the necessary time frame, a patient's documentation saying, "Do not resuscitate in the event of no pulse," when it should have read, "full code" or "resuscitation requested." And in one case, according to the survey, a nurse failed to perform CPR when a patient was without a pulse. I reached out to the Department of Public Health, who said this: "Deficient practices are fairly common. Our surveyors are focused on finding out whether or not facilities are in compliance with state and federal regulations. Unless the deficient practices are totally egregious, they would not stand out to the department." But some of the facility's alleged practices did stand out to one local attorney and prompted him to file a lawsuit. In 2007, Huntsville lawyer Tommy Sinyard sued Tutphan, alleging veterans' mistreatment. He represented a father-son duo where secret video recordings allegedly showed the father being abandoned for 12 hours at a time and being struck by employees. The case was settled confidentially. Sinyard couldn't talk about Tutphan, but says this about nursing homes in general.
What we see is, sadly, is not huge, complicated medical mistakes. It's people that fail to get properly watered, have water, fed, turned in their beds so they don't get pressure sores or bed sores, falls where they're inappropriately assisted to the restroom or to their wheelchair.
Treatment. That's right. I met with Alabama VA Commissioner Kent Davis in Montgomery about the employees' allegations and to talk the home's history. He vowed to visit Tutphan in March to investigate.
Our utmost concern is care of veterans. That's why we exist as a department. That's what we're about here. We take very seriously any allegation of neglect or mistreatment. I can tell you this, I did not know the specific allegations until you showed up today.
So tonight, the level of care the veterans are receiving at the facility really depends on who you ask. You can find more information about those past violations at the Tutphan home and how they were addressed on WAFF.com. On your screen now is the hotline for the Alabama Department of Public Health. That's who you should contact if you're concerned about a veteran being mistreated. Liz, that's a photo of the late Tommy Pierce. He passed away at Tutphan in August after 6 years at the home. His granddaughter gave us permission to use these photos after we ran the original story last Monday. She claims there was physical abuse at Tutphan, and she's not alone. Tommy Pierce was a D-Day veteran, a Purple Heart recipient, and allegedly abused at the Tutphan nursing home in October 2017. His granddaughter, Amanda Childress, sent us her story about his time there. She says her mother visited him after being told he had red rings around his eyes. Childress then says, "She asked my grandfather if he fell or if an employee had done that to him, and he stated clear as day that, quote, an employee did this. He had several falls while he was a resident there, but he had never before blamed the nursing home staff for anything. They pursued a criminal investigation, but nothing came of it." She says Pierce became suicidal after the incident and died in August 2018. In the aftermath of that original report, I was contacted by an employee who still works at the home. That person is a caregiver, someone who's been at the home for a number of years. They requested to remain anonymous, citing concerns of retaliation. The caregiver says all the claims made by the former employees in the original report are true. The current employee claims to have seen 4 separate patients suffering from black eyes that could not be self-inflicted. The caregiver says the administration was aware of that abuse by the time the employees saw it, but it's unclear what action was taken. The employee claims to have seen as many as 7 veterans afflicted with skin mites in a single wing. The caregiver says the administration did end up treating that entire hall. The employee claims never to have seen bedbugs in the home, but says laundry workers would call out sick because they were worried about being infected.
The caregiver sent this photo to show the resulting laundry backup. The Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs owns the home and is aware of the allegations of abuse. Commissioner Kent Davis says he's asked the Alabama Department of Public Health to investigate the home in response to the claims.
Now that we've asked for third parties to be involved in this, I think all of it should be involved. They should take a look at all of that to see if there are indeed systemic issues in addition to the specific allegations that were raised.
HMR Veterans Services runs the day-to-day operations of the home. It hasn't yet returned a request for comment on this story. Davis says the company is in the process to renew its contract at the home, but any connection between the bidding and investigation is speculative.
Let's do this. Let's not put the cart before the horse. We need to get through the investigation process first, and we'll deal separately with the completely different issue of the contract rebid process.
Now, that story only contained a portion of the allegations against the home. You can find a very in-depth story on the latest claims and that state investigation right now on WAFF.com. If you or a loved one is concerned about someone at any nursing home, you can contact this number on your screen. It's the Alabama Department of Public Health's hotline. Liz?